Welcome to Emancipated Studio. Welcome my uncle, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Salute, 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 salute. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a good one. You know we're going to have a good time tonight. But before we get there, let's just address two things. Matter of fact, let's make it three. I just want y'all to know that Miss OG Patrice is in the house and her interview is ready. And we're going to be dropping that as soon as she takes a look at it, it will drop. So the moment she say, drop it like it's hot, Uncle Stu, y'all going to see that interview. And it is awesome if you miss it, but you ain't going to miss it because we got it. So let's give a shout out. Luscious Journey in the house. Her number one moderator, RM. She getting like Gail. She all over the YouTube streets moderating. My number one moderator in the house, Vaughn. OG Patrice, Sunshine Brain. My other moderator in the house, Big Bad Bull. And my other one and only, the one that runs around when it's time for y'all to try to figure out who gonna be on the Uncle Stu platform. My number one, Wealth Talk Productions. Gotta go through him. Vaughn Harper in the house, the big bad one. And of course, the one and only Brown Eyes in the house. Jenny Jen is in the house. So I welcome each and every single one of you. I hope I was able to get everybody. Last night, we were supposed to do a live stream with Real Talk with Melissa Barron, and we didn't do it because of the Tasha K situation. We had a lot of people who, and don't forget, Wally in the house. What's up, Wally? Salute, salute. And Major Change Group, salute, salute. And last night, we were supposed to have interview with Real Talk Melissa Barron. And we didn't have that interview. Now, this is no shade to any content creator. So I want everybody to understand I'm not throwing shade. But what I noticed was that the YouTube streets was very hot with the Tasha K verdict. And I will not be putting out any videos dealing with Tasha K. I understand if you do a Tasha K video, you'll be all in the algorithm and you be all over the place. But I have to take the higher road. I am not going to dump on her, regardless of the situation. I'm taking the higher road because, number one, I saw these YouTube streets lit up so much dealing with Tasha K that I wonder where the YouTube streets is lit up when one of us in our own community is being abused. I wonder where Black YouTube is when we have unjustified things happening in our lives. Where's the YouTube streets in our politics? Where's the YouTube streets when men are being abused? Where's the YouTube streets when women are being abused? Where's the YouTube streets when it's time to vote? There's a whole lot of issues that we should have been on fire for. I believe that some of us, if not most of us in Black YouTube, also need to stop showing hypocrisy. Because a lot of us, and I see it all the time, has done the same thing Tasha K has done. We may not have 1 million followers. We might have 1,000. We might have 10,000. Fact of the matter is, we do it. I know, because I float these YouTube streets. I've even been a part of it. having a live, watching a woman go on her live while my live was going on. She was showing my live and crucifying me. So when people really think that they are doing something, they'll crucify you. They'll call you out your name and your character and don't know nothing about you. Don't know anything. So I hope that we all learn something from Tasha K and the Cardi B situation. I hope that these two women who are setting an example, I hope we all learn from. And that's all I'm going to say on Tasha K. What hurts me the most is that a woman lost her child, Regina King. And that hurt me more than Tasha K. And the reason is because it brought me to this man, my beloved son, Ray's firstborn. And the Regina King that we know as the great actress, the smiling woman, the happy woman, that's who we need to be burning up the YouTube streets for, praying for her, consoling her, because she will never get the very gift of life that was given to her. And if you don't understand the pain, I do. I do. Let the YouTube streets burn up for this. Burn up for a woman that gave birth, gave life, and raised that birth and that life up. Uncle Stu cried. Uncle Stu cried because as he wanted to put a monologue together, as he was reading newspaper articles about Regina King's son, he read a paragraph. And in that paragraph, he said, "My son loved everybody, and all he could do was love." And I stood in my studio and cried because Dorian, that's all he was about, love. He gave so much love that his funeral procession, you would have thought he was a hip hop rapper. It was cars for all the eyes could see for the amount of love he gave. So I ask each and every single one of you here tonight, you are not alone. You are not alone. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you need help, please call. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Now, I love each and every single one of you, but I have to tell you right now, the time has come. You see, when Florida needed somebody to represent, they called this woman. When TLA, he a Georgia man, but he needed some of that little bit of island accent. He called this a woman. So it was real good that Uncle Stu had to pick up the phone and he had to call the island woman. So you never know what accent you're going to get. But ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only, Susie Speaks.
What up, Uncle Stu? Hello to the chat. Uncle Stu, I need to carry that in my pocket. Like, I need that introduction every day. Appreciate you, brother. How are you?
I am doing well, doing well, doing well.
Fantastic.
How are you doing?
I'm excited. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on over. I feel privileged. I'm excited. I see people already in the chat. So big up to everybody watching. And yes, salute to all of those of us who code switch on a daily basis.
Yeah, look, code switch. Look, we got to call it out. Code
yes.
switch, hair switch, color switch. We just switch it.
Hey, I'm from South Florida, as you said. So we got a lot of beautiful melanated people that sound all kinds of ways. So I'm glad you helped me to embrace that here on YouTube. I appreciate you, sir.
You know that's right. You know that is right. Let me give a shout out to Getty's Radio with the $20 cash app, and also Sir Hale Speaks is in the building with the $9.99 cash app. Appreciate you, brothers. Appreciate you, brothers. Holding it down these YouTube streets. So, Suzette, who is Suzette?
So, Uncle Stu.
Yeah, I know, right? So, who is Suzette Speak? Because most people only know Suzette. Let's be honest. On the TLA show, when you got Kevin Samuels on one side,
oh Jesus,
TLA on the other side. You know, I'm in the manosphere. I got to represent now. You know, they be looking. They go look.
That seems so long ago. Yes, you bringing it back, Uncle Stu. I'm bringing it back. I'm flinching.
You flinching. And my big sister, 2 months. Hey. You know, with the $4.99 super sticker. Salute.
Big up TJ Randolph. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, Uncle Stu. Ooh.
But you
that was
know
an
what?
Incredible introduction again. Thank you. But yeah.
You're welcome.
So where do we start? What do you want to start with? The TLA business? What do you want to start
with? We're going to start with TLA. You know, I'm hoping he don't punk me later on this stream, you know.
I feel like he's going to come over here. I already kind of feel in my spirit. So. But yeah, we've been good, man. We just out here trying to get that content out. Right. And get people talking and trying to elevate the conversation, if you will, for our folks. So for people who are, looking to grow and elevate from the inside out, like yourself, I am very much passionate about helping people, not only from the legal perspective. That's what YouTube has been for me, another outlet, right? Because I do law and I still practice. I do personal injury law. Okay. So, I get a lot of satisfaction from it, but there was something else missing. And I tell people this short story that a few years ago, I was working for a firm. Hey, Sunbreeze, nice to see you coming over, my supporters. Thank you for all those. Yes. I just posted it on my community page. So big up all those coming over. Thank you.
All right, Sunbreeze, thank you for the $10 cash.
Yes, thank you. One of my moderators and Patreon members. But yeah, I was saying I had an epiphany of how unsatisfied or dissatisfied I was with my job at the time. And I was working for a large firm up in Palm Beach. And I was doing well as according to, the societal standards of what success looked like. I had a decent paying job, doing my thing, got my own place, whatever. But I was very dissatisfied. I would cry at night. I was much more, what should I say, isolated. And then people realized I was in the public. And for those who don't know, let me back up a little bit further. So about, I would say almost not quite 8, 9, maybe 7, 8 years now. I've also been trying to create a second lane for myself. And I think I've been successful at it as understanding that I needed change and I needed ways to express myself. In the early part, it wasn't really like with an intention, but I knew I was drawn to speaking in front of people. I knew I liked television and I wanted, or I started volunteering at first to moderate for people, MC and host for people. And I eventually was like, I want people to pay me to do this. So fast forward 5 or 6 years ago, when I was kind of in this, I guess you call it funk, what we call it, and feeling a sense of dissatisfaction or what should I say, just not, or I could call it incongruence. It was really an incongruence of what people say I am and who I feel I am from the inside. So I started to do some work, and I did it through my church at the time. I did it through kind of what I'm doing here on YouTube, which it was putting together at the time live workshops is what I called it, but it was really healing shops for Suzette, and it helped in the process. But I was I was like, I can't be the only one feeling like this. I can't be the only one feeling stuck, feeling incongruent and unhappy. So I started pursuing journalism, and that's a whole nother story, but I started pursuing much more in a formal way, journalism, media, and hosting. And at the same time, I felt called, like I said, to seek out other people who were kind of dealing with the same internal struggles I was dealing with. So that came up or manifested as a meetup group, just a meetup group. And it turned into more formal seminars and workshops, and eventually a very large women's conference. And again, shout out to all my brothers out here. This is just my story, because I was hurt and, floundering, emotionally speaking, woman. So I was looking for help. I didn't think therapy was for me. Oh boy. I didn't know.
Oh, Suzette.
We called it. We called it. You know what? Here we go.
We are happy if you move.
We just mentioned you. Shout out to the lead attorney.
Shout out to the lead attorney. Salute, salute.
Attorney. Oh my goodness. A man who has already changed my life in many ways. Who's coming over here?
If I see him in the back channel, look, I got to do like the lead say, moderator, just for the lead attorney, he's allowed to get on the stream.
Okay.
He got these levels to this thing.
Exactly.
He's above me. So, just drop the stream for the lead attorney, please.
Salute to the lead attorney. One, as you alluded to, who totally catapulted, in a sense, me into a space that I was kind of tippy-toeing in. I was doing fine on my own, I thought, doing, once in a while appearances, and then all of a sudden, boom, we get this wonderful, life-changing appearance on the Lead Attorney Show. And then, as you said, Brother Kevin Samuels crept up a couple times on us.
Look, you just spoke his name now. Now, if you show him my life, I just got to get out of my own chair. They're like, okay, I done got pumped.
No. KS, don't call Candyman. Don't call Candyman. Please don't call Candyman. We're doing a real relaxed chat today. We're not doing none of that. So yeah, he's a big part of my story here, and all the ways I've been able to, just kind of develop as a content creator. And of course, you and I have connected through the Lead Attorney's YouTube Elementary. So I'm grateful for the lead and sharing his knowledge and opening up, the what should I say, the proverbial I don't know, the secrets of YouTube, so that we much smaller, big up to the lead. I think he's over 140,000 now subscribers. Yes. I ain't counting. But lead, when I was so proud of him, when I went into a live chat, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday, maybe it was Thursday. No, he does Friday, when it was like 7,000 people live. And I was telling Gaston's World, I was like, brother, we can't underestimate that impact, that reach, that power of turning on your computer and have 7,000 people waiting to hear what you got to say. It's mayors and governors that don't have that. So it's just like, from the time I have been introduced to his sphere to now, to see just even how much he has even the more grown and been able to kind of, again, take up more space and become, walk in his purpose. It's become, so motivating, and I'm so proud. So yeah, big up the Lead Attorney and all of his wonderful work he's doing to help us become, like him.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. I want to go back into something you said, because that's very interesting. When you said people were saying one thing about you,
Yeah.
But internally, you was feeling something totally different. Big up all the way from Singapore.
Oh,
Here's a couple
wow.
of Singapore dollars for the collection plate, Uncle Stu. Keep the great interviews coming. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And then I believe I missed one because I don't want to be calling these out and be stopping all the time. To Mix Master Miko with the 199, supporting my YouTube, Uncle Stu. Salute. You talk about that speaking from the outside, but you knew that there was something missing on the inside. And I feel that is something that really needs to be spoken about, because I understand it, but can you give voice to that? Because people see you and they see the attorney. They see, oh, she got the money, she got this. Can you speak to that emptiness?
Absolutely. I think as I learned, because when I started first putting together my meetup and gatherings, first of all, Uncle Stu, I find it very difficult to make real friends as an adult. That was one of the biggest problems. I was like, God, I have a problem. I can't find people that are like-minded, who, you know, you could go out with, but they got something to lose. You know, Miami is turned up, so people come out the woodwork and they just don't have the same values as you. So I found myself very isolated. If people, you know, that you grew up with and even college friends move away and start to get married, I found myself in a place of, you know, not having a lot of friends in my friend circle. And I think that's also a result of my family size. I have a huge family. So my cousins are my first friends. So I'm really good at, in terms of, you know, family being my friends. But when they get busy, and of course they're not living here locally anymore, you're like, oh, wait, who am I hang out with? What am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to on a, you know, random evening, or go to a happy hour with, or whatever? So I think many of us who are professional, I think a lot of times there's so much social pressure to look a certain way. And I called it, and I remember one of my first workshops was about wearing the mask. And I can't speak from a gentleman's perspective, but women, particularly professional women, particularly professional Black women, we good at wearing the mask. We could have it all together, Uncle Stu, look like we have it all together, and be slowly dying on the inside. And I too, you know, I had that cognitive dissonance where I was supposed to be happy. I had a degree. I was supposed to be happy. You know, I live a certain place. I was supposed to be happy because I drive this, or, you know, not like I was driving no big truck, but you know what I'm saying? Like I was supposed to be happy with the title and where I was, and I wasn't. So to admit to oneself, there is another big epiphany that, you know, whoa, I did what they told me that I was supposed to do. I went down the path they told me that was going to bring me happiness. And to admit to oneself that I did all that and I'm still not happy is a real groundbreaking thing. Hey, Snuggles.
Snuggles! You let one Jamaican on the platform, now a whole slew of them are going to bombard your platform. Don't say I didn't want Snuggles.
You know what?
When you see Kareem Snuggles, then you know the whole crew is in the house.
I love it. Big up to all my South Florida transplants. Big up to all my Jamaicans and Jafakans in the building. So yeah, Uncle Stu, is like, as you were saying, there's a point in your life where if you dare to really assess, you know, I find a lot of people keep their head down and just keep going, even though they feel this dissonance and this incongruence. But for me, I'm a person, I'm a seeker, I'm a questioner, I'm an introspective person, I'm an empath. So for me, I was like, I can't be crying at night and everybody think like I go to work and I'm like, oh, together. And I look, I mean, like $1 million. And at, you know, at night when I'm alone, I'm literally in tears. So I feel like there's a lot of people like that suffer in silence. And I think even more so now with the pandemic, where we are physically isolated, because I could be a person where I could be in a room full of people but feel lonely. And I thought to myself, this ain't right. This is not right. The way I feel, the way I'm processing kind of like my choices, it made me really think. I'm like, can I send back the law degree, Lord? No. How can I fix this? Where can I go for respite? And the first place was like, okay, there got to be other people. And I put up a free meetup ad that I could talk to, for friendship, because when we lack friendship or we lack a trustworthy friend circle, it can also play with our psychology, our mental state. So my first order of business was to ask God, why you made me an attorney If I'm so unhappy, God, what was this calling about? And then I also was kind of like already being called into like a different space of media and hosting. And I thought, okay, I want to pursue that more. And I was kind of hiding in doing it, if that makes sense. I wasn't, I was afraid of the judgment because of course you spent all this money and you invested all this time. So everybody think, you're a big attorney. Even my parents were like, so you want the TV? You want like they couldn't understand what the hell I was talking about. But I had to be really, it was like me stepping more boldly into it. Like, no, this is a part of my calling and I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to pretend anymore, for, societal or familial or whoever approval. I was over it. I was that desperate actually. So I just started to do what I felt like was in my heart to start doing.
Let's go with that mask. Let's go back to that mask area because, and tell me if I got it wrong. When you talked about going into that next level, which is your professional level, do you believe, and I'm not trying to pin you down on anything.
No, go ahead.
But would it be defined as you kind of outgrew your circle and you really couldn't get to another circle, meaning you done went to another level. You've experienced that level. You can't really explain that level, but you had no one up there in your level. Similar to, since we're talking biblical, Moses went to the top of the mountain. He had a mountaintop experience, but he couldn't articulate it to the valley people.
I think mine might be a little different. I think mine was more like, I saw the people who were supposedly at the top at these firms, and I was like, I don't want to be you. That's not what I want. When I saw, the top female partner, I was like, I don't want your job. Like, I really don't. Now, she probably was afraid that I would take her job. Right. Most people are so intimidated, and you just want to get your paycheck. But I realized, I'm like, if I'm going to do this for 20 more years, I will probably die. And I do not want to be, quote, stuck. I felt like there was a lot more creativity that I wanted to express. I think, again, my other, muscles of empathy and understanding people and my desire to understand what makes people tick. I think you can exercise that in law to a certain extent. Right. But I think I was very much called, like I said, to a media space or being able to express that, it was more than at that time a hobby. It was getting from hobby into like, whoa, I started making money doing it and then thinking of it as a possible career. So I just started to sense that even though I was on, quote, top, wow, big up Mixmaster Miko, even though I was on, quote, top, and there was a little bit more to climb, I was looking around and I thought, I was fooled at first. I was like, maybe I will start my own firm, and I did. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, that was the biggest mistake I would have made. I should have been honest with myself there. I should have been like, because I knew from then, I was like, you try to run away from or get away from, other people controlling your time. Right. And I think that was the ultimate goal. That was like, freedom is what I value most. Right. And of course, authentic self-expression. Those two things I value most. And I feel like in a law firm, everybody wears a proverbial mask in corporate America, but I felt like it was almost stifling, almost choking me, that I would like, just not get to express that other side of me, that creative side in a sense, the way I wanted it to. But I can tell you how I started to press against the law. And go in the other direction.
Miko with the $49.99 sponsoring tonight's live stream. So he said, Match.com works. Also, the Library Church, Kings County. Look, don't say the New York part. I got TLA watching the stream. He don't like us, and we New Yorkers. So if he comes and punks me later on, he's trying to bring that GA. He gangster. You better remember that.
I appreciate it, Master Miko.
Yeah, appreciate the cash app. Appreciate the cash app. That mask, that mask. Do you feel a lot of now? I'm gonna separate it. Do you feel a lot of women is wearing that mask, and we're men looking from the outside in, we're misinterpreting what we're looking at?
That is very plausible because I know for sure, I think one of the first meetups I was planning on doing was I saw a lot of people talking about wanting to run for judge here, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. But we were young and they were like, wait your turn, wait your turn. So I wanted to put together something, and I'll get into your question, where people who had been on the bench, women who had been on the bench could, sit for like a forum, if you will, but it was really informal brunch. I wanted to do it even like a brio so that people who wanted to run could ask some questions, Uncle Stu, and it turned into something so big that I had to go downtown and get a nice restaurant, and it became like a forum, and that was like really my first, big, I don't want to call it conference, but at the time it was just like a bigger brunch forum. And from that point, many other people started picking up the female judge cause. I just want to let y'all know I was a pioneer in that here. But anyway, I say that to say, when those women sat down, and it was before I had like a formula, and it was before I really had, my only intent was, I want people to see behind the curtain and what people, who wear a robe, talk about being at the top are really like. And because we didn't record it, because it was like so intimate, the stuff that they revealed, we were all like, people came up to me after, was like, I've never seen judges be, they was wondering, it's not the haters, but when
right.
They were wondering, they were like, Sue, I've never seen them so vulnerable and so open, but I'm just going to tell you that's God's gift. Thank you, God, because I moderated it myself. But it was so interesting to see, all these women with all these different, from insecurities, about motherhood, about being a good wife, about their competence, every single day. And how they had, these were actual very tight, it was 5 of them. They seem actually like, I was like, they actually friends. I'm like, when you're a judge, you have nobody you can talk to. It's a very isolating job because you can't have an opinion on anything and you can't say anything at dinner parties or anything like that. But to have them, and it was a CLE, a continuing, like a CEU, continuing education program I put together. I got it certified by the bar for that. But to hear them open up, we all was like, bruh. The judges feel like this. The judges is like this. The judges like, and I had them 3 years, almost 4. This would have been the 4th year in a row to do it because it was just so. Every time I hear the judges talk, some people like, you don't have the judges back, and I'm like, y'all not tired of the judges yet? And I changed which one, but the point is that yes, I think many professional women wear this tough exterior as an almost you could call it survival, or you could even call it, I think, just protective. In a sense, so that we feel confident, that we feel competent, and that, I remember this. I was at a social, and this is maybe, I don't know how long ago, 5-6 years ago, probably around the same time, because I was emceeing, one of my homeboys had a day party, and he was like, can you come MC? I was like, oh, of course. And I remember introducing myself to a couple of guys there, and I had this really strong corporate handshake. I've had this since like undergrad. Like I learned how to handshake, and I not to squeeze the life out of your handshake, but it's pretty grippy. It's pretty tight.
No, so you gotta know. I know a little something.
Yeah. So I remember I had on this cute outfit. I was ready to go on stage, and I was getting ready to do whatever. And these guys come up to me, and they're like, "Nice to meet you." I'm like, "Oh, I'm Suzette Speaker." And I give them the handshake, and they both looked at each other like, you gonna take my job? Like, what you trying to do? And I realized then, I was like, ooh, you're not turning off the work when you're even though I was in work mode because I was hired to host there. I was like, oh, I sat on that and I was like, wow, I don't know that I know how to turn it off then. Right. So I was in that space, a social space, still working, but it wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't even think of it the way they kind of assessed it, which was so funny. They were like, bro, okay, you trying to, take my job. Like, what's up? We trying to get to know you. And I'm like, no, I'm hosting. Goodbye. Bye. I'm doing what I do. But I say that to say, yes, I think there's a lot of, I don't know if it's the media expectation that we're fulfilling or what we think is the actual expectation that we're fulfilling. But I think trading it, like taking it off, putting it on, it can be very difficult for individuals. And I think for myself, I think it can be misinterpreted for sure. If what you're trying to do is prove, confidence to yourself and competence to yourself, it can come across to others, especially when they're not even assessing you for that, as being like, she trying to give you, you trying to just to cover my job, bro. I'm here, trying to offer you a mimosa. But yeah, I do think it can be confused for that, and I do think sometimes you do need that little reminder without it being, from a mean place. That, hey, girl, I'm trying to check for you when you over here on something else. I do think sometimes women need a little bit of a loving reminder that it ain't about that, sis. I just see you. And I was just like, oh, okay, my bad. Okay, good to see you guys. And I'm back to work.
Right.
So I do think it can be misinterpreted.
Is that pressure? I'm looking at it from two different angles, because you talked about your parents sending you to law school. So I got my daddy hat on now. Okay, I sent my daughter off to go get a master's and everything else. But then I'm looking at another side.
Okay.
The so-called sister code, the so-called black feminists, the so-called, we strong, we gotta be this level, and we can't allow men to see us weak and see us this way. Do you feel that is one of these two, or
that kind of kept me there, you mean?
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, you talked about having to wear the mask, and like you had to wear it, and it's like, okay, who did you really have to wear it for? Was it your parents you had to wear it for? Was it the black woman code, being a woman? Who was
I
you
get the question now.
for? Right.
Yes, sir. So first and foremost, it was definitely for me, my parental expectation. I just fill in people who have not seen me on other programs. I have come to the United States as an immigrant, as a toddler. So I feel like I'm the best of both worlds. I do consider myself African-American, even though I was born in Jamaica. So I know there's going to be a bunch of dispute already. There you go. But I think I'm a mixture of both cultures. So many people, if you're from South Florida, you consider me African-American. If you're from another part of the United States, you're going to say, oh, you're Jamaican. So it's very interesting. I'm Jamaican to ADOS people. But to down here, we are the ADOS people. Like the immigrant black people are the ADOS people.
Well, I'm from New York, so we got them all over the place.
With respect, and I don't mean to create no kind of like craziness. All I'm just saying is like when they say the black community here, that they're talking about us actually. Right. So we represent as such. So I'll say that as a hardworking black immigrant family, there was not a lot of room for error, and there was not a lot of room for choice. So based on the sacrifice of my parents coming here, giving up their whole lives, their livelihood. Jamaica at the time was going through a season of political violence and upheaval. There was a lot of gang warfare. There were people on our street that got murdered. And we were like, we can't live like this. My mom was a registered nurse there. She treated some of the worst bad man them. Like it was a literal war zone. I can't imagine. I feel like it might be like how Chicago and parts of Chicago, respected Chicago are now, but it was deep inner city, if you will, violence. So she even said when she wanted to migrate, she thought she was going to have to leave my dad. Like they were going to divorce, because she was heck bent on getting us out of there. And he had like established himself as a professional there. So it was a big move. I say all that to say they sacrificed a lot. So coming here, when we think of education as an immigrant, I don't know if y'all can relate. And I have ADOS friends who saw it just like how my parents saw it growing up here, as that education was your primary goal. I never heard talk in my home, hey guys, okay, you too are to have you. Salute. Thank you.
Salute. Start the week off right. Yes, sir. Never mask. Sorry, LOL.
You with the Let's Go, Brandon. Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, there was no talk about choice of what you wanted to be. Like, what is that? What is that? Like, it was be a doctor or be a lawyer. Of course, we are the generation of the Cosby kids and watching Bill Cosby and then the Fresh Prince and then all this. But there was an educational, what should I say? I don't want to say edict, but like it was a moral code almost that was like God, the Bible, and then your education was like up there. So the understanding that I had about choice that I think some of my American-born counterparts had. We didn't have that. Like, go be what you want to be. Where? Not in this household, not in this immigrant community. You trying to be your best as far as your test scores or whatever could take you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a lawyer. My brother's a doctor. That's not a coincidence. Like, this is what we were bred, if you will, mentally to do. So when it came time, I really wanted to change my major from undergrad. I remember, my test scores and everything got me into the honors program at my school and all that in college. And I can't tell you, Uncle Stu, my favorite and most formative and most enjoyable experiences were not in the classroom. It came from all the extracurricular activities, kind of like the same thing like when I was in high school, kind of like the same thing when I was in middle school, like from the student government to, the campus tour guide to all kinds of stuff. I was in the International Students Association, the Caribbean dance troupe. I did so much that brought me so much joy. But again, that's the creativity that lives in me that, thankfully during undergrad could be expressed in these ways.
Right.
But I just remember I was pre-med. I was pre-med for almost 3 years because I had so many scholarships tied to it. So when I finally was like, I'm not going to med school, what is it called? Organic chem? What other class? I think there's another one that I was like, this ain't gonna be my life. That was the first time there was a sense of, what should I say, autonomy or ability to say no to my parents, that I was like, I cannot do this. I'm not gonna be doing this forever. I'm actually having a blast doing everything but class, even though I was still getting A's and all that. It was a struggle in some of them classes. You have your weed outs, but beyond that, I was like, you know what I should be doing? I had this deep conversation with my mom. I think it was getting to be junior year. And I was like, Mommy, I found this wonderful major called corporate event planning. Now, this is before event planning was what it is today.
Right.
And I was just like, it was in the School of Health and Human Performance, HHP. And I was like, I could still, graduate on time if I move. I got cussed. No. She was like, you think I send you up there for do events? Like it was like, but to some of you, it would seem like, well, it's you. Why wouldn't you just say that? No. That's the difference in the immigrant lifestyle.
Well, let me help you with that immigrant lifestyle.
Yes.
We have shared stories, and this is the story and the narrative you probably don't hear.
Tell me.
I know all about the wars that happened in Jamaica.
Yes.
I came up when, the whole Bob Marley politics. We have shared story because you have to remember there was a great migration of where African Americans left the South, went up north. I am the product of that great migration. So our parents did the same thing.
Oh, wow.
The children of the great migrants was the same way. It was about education. It was about going to school, and either you was going to go to college or you was going to go in the military, but you wasn't going to stay in the house after 18.
Awesome.
But education was definitely the key for a lot of us that are, children of the South and of that great migration. So there is that equilibrium.
Parallel. Excellent parallel.
Very
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely.
New York is definitely unique in and of itself because culturally speaking, we don't identify a lot with color. We identify more with culture. So it's like, we know, don't you call it Jamaican daddy, don't you call it Trinidadian? We got that. Don't call it Puerto Rican or Dominican.
Yeah.
We
You're just New Yorkers. You're just New Yorkers. Right. Yeah.
But so we share in that
multiculturalism. Yeah.
And multiculturalism. Talk to me about, let's say we got women in the chat. Yeah. And they might be actually feeling can you give language to that? Because I believe that in conversation, I think when men is trying to talk to women and vice versa, we don't have a vocabulary of really intelligent, emotional feelings or intellectual feelings of what we might be feeling in the sense of why this woman is acting in the masculine and my brothers in the manosphere be like, look, and they're going to go off. Right.
Well, to try to give it language, I think for me, looking at my 20s, it was a defining time in my life where I did not want to disappoint the great expectations. I am a daughter that was always like first of all, firstborn. Second of all, tested gifted, all this. I have always excelled, thank you, God, in an academic way. So the expectations of me felt overwhelming at times, and I always felt like I had to try to meet them as incongruent with what I wanted as they were.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't even speak up about it until I was almost, a junior. But the feelings of not wanting to disappoint, not wanting to be the reason, like, the letdown that my parents made a mistake to come to this country, that they sacrificed so much, and would I have been better off in Jamaica? Should they just have stayed? Like, not taking full advantage of every opportunity here is almost like a sin. So that sense of like, it's a hunger to like I say, meet expectation. I don't know if I could pinpoint it. At the beginning, it might have been a self-desire, but very quickly, it wasn't really my self-desire. It was my desire to please my parents and my peoples, my family. So that for me manifested as, and I guess you're trying to say, how did I think? I was much more, I didn't have time for anything else but trying to be successful. I didn't. As far as like dating and stuff, it was not, I don't even call it not a priority, because then I quickly, a couple of years later, went to law school, etc. But I just think, as far as a focus, being able to help your family, being able to show them that their sacrifice was worth it, was just that tunnel vision goal. And it wasn't not a man, but it was not the goal. The goal was like, oh my God, how am I going to pay these people back?
Right.
How am I going to show them that the sacrifice was worth it? And that was it. It wasn't until much later that I woke up and I was like, wow, personal happiness matters. That was not in my mind. I didn't even have a concept for that. And I know that sounds crazy.
No.
I don't know.
Would that go on the line of what's known as people pleasing?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So that would go on the line of people pleasing.
Absolutely. I think there is a desire, like I said, but who is your master at that time? Like I said, if you don't have a husband early, your parents are still kind of in that role. So I know there are people that are like, Caribbean parents expect you to like, do a lot for them. I don't think they're like, you owe me. Some people are like, you owe me parents. They're not doing that, but they expect a lot. And like other immigrant groups, you have their input in your life probably way more than the average American. So when being able to say no to them is like a very big deal. They are a part of your plan. They're not separate and apart from your plan. That's not how we think. They are part of the decisions you make. They are revered in a way that will, make their wisdom valued, and that you are going to either, not adhere to it, but like very much respect it. So it's a different sense of obligation. I feel like I didn't feel like I had choice. I feel like I had obligation to perform, go get a graduate degree, figure out how I was going to make money to help people, my fam. And then, my parents would say now they definitely thought marriage was just going to happen, but it wasn't really, like I said, talked about. Even in my brought up seeing, my going through the different, undergrad and law school. But it was more so like, bro, we got to get this bread. I got to get this bread. I got to figure out how to get this bread. That was
right. Being that you brought up marriage, because I'm going to go, matter of fact, let's switch the question. Let's go back. You coming with the immigrant vision. What do you see outside of that immigrant vision with the born and raised African-American women here that may not have that strength in that connection? And I don't even want to say that. I would say it may have been ingrained, but maybe not at the level that you had it ingrained in you. Because I don't think for some of us, we had it ingrained like that.
You talking about with respect for education or with respect to marriage?
I'm gonna say both, because one of the things that you said was, I went for the education. I went for the law because I was feeling this obligation to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to see.
You could call it family.
Family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that in the African American community as Americans?
I don't know. I will say this. I will say that I had a wonderful introduction to African American culture at a very young age, vis-a-vis the African American church I grew up in, which welcomed us immigrants. They were the most, oh my gosh, I love these women in terms of they were like educators, like principals and such. These are women that had gone to HBCUs. They were, which I say, sorority-based and community-based women. So the example I had of African American marriage was very positive because there were women in my church that were all married. Right. My family is all married.
Right,
my uncles and aunts. Now, people who have passed away and such. But the structure that I saw was similar to mine. There were husbands and there were wives. And again, that's a different generation. But it was very positive and they were very education centered. And what I loved about them is that they helped to introduce my family into the American school system. So which school was best, how to get in there gifted, how to, we went on college tours with them, understanding financial aid. We would have had a heck of a learning curve had it not been for this church. We had the deepest Black History Month lessons from that church. I that's why I feel so ingrained in the African American story. Although I am an immigrant, I don't see myself different because of how I think also our histories as Africans brought to the West are very much intertwined. But the stateliness, the elegance, these are women that I wanted to be like. They were very, very, they're like old school, just foundation of the earth people. And so seeing them, I always had a positive outlook or kinsmanship, I guess, to African American people. Not every immigrant gets that. Right. And I also had a Girl Scout troop that was run by, and rest in peace, her husband just passed. They just texted me. I sent a donation for his
Oh, sorry to hear.
Well, sorry, this is random. This because it was this morning, but my African American Girl Scout troop leader, thank you, Miss Hunter. Seeing her and all the little girls in there, again, all of them, majority of them, it was me and my cousins. It was like 4 of us were the Jamaicans and everybody else was African American. Well, yeah, I think everybody else was, but everybody had a mommy and a daddy. It didn't seem different. They all were, I could tell we were definitely much more into education in the sense. There was a lot of, thank you, Mr. Willis.
All right, salute.
Thank you, Mr.
Salute. Did I mention I'm digging a new look?
He's so funny. Big up Mr. Real Estate. Fantastic content creator. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Go and subscribe. But yeah, so when I went to meetings and such, I think that was my real introduction to from AAVE, African American Vernacular English. Right. I think I got custom as far as food. When we had Saturdays, we'd have like a potluck. So I understood what, pigeon peas and rice and this and that and collard greens much more intimately than probably a lot of immigrants get in terms of their introductions.
Yeah, deep soul food cooking.
Yes. I was like, oh, my mom makes grits now. I'm like, Mommy, her grits has like cut scallion and onion and tomato. I'm like, this is Jamaican. This is not American. But it was so beautiful. And especially in my formative years in like elementary school, getting that exposure, I still know the difference would be like, we weren't allowed to cheerlead. I remember that was like a big cultural thing, being a cheerleader. My mom was like, you're not gonna kick up your leg in front of boy. I ain't gonna do that. My mom was like, where you think you're going? Where you think you're going? Like, I was like, everybody trying out for cheerleading. She was like, wait, how about math club? Science club? Like Spanish club? Like, okay, go be president of those, which I was. But it was like, what are you talking about? So anything that had to relate to like performative beauty, my mom was not into that. That is a big difference. I remember with some of my friends, they all got to cheer. They all got to do other stuff like majorettes and things like, nope. I had one lucky year. Thank you. I think it was a year and a half in middle school. Couldn't try out in 6th grade, but my cousin, because her mom let her, it was like opening the door for the rest of us. I was like, but Kayla can cheer. But
Right.
anything that had to do with sexuality and I don't know that cheerleading has to do with sexuality, but anything
Right.
expressive as far as your feminine in that, they did
Right.
not encourage that. They did not. And you better go read a book and you better go find an activity. I was in summer science programs. I was in Saturday science programs after school and all this. It was me and like the Jewish kids. It was like, that was it. So I can see in that, like to the furthest extent, we was on a mission, but as a whole across the board, we were very similar. Everybody had to get A's. Everybody was, encouraged to do their work and homework and all that. As a whole, I think we were very similar, but I think we pressed the gas a little bit more, kind of behind closed doors, if you will.
Right. There was, I want to bring over, if you don't mind, the conversation you and I had on your platform.
Yes.
Because you said something that I think is extremely profound. To try to bring back that conversation, you talked about, I have this career. I'm a successful woman. Let's just put it out there. I don't need a man for my financial, but you made a strong statement. You said, I'll give all of this up just to have a husband, to have a man.
So
can you speak to that? Because I think that was a mic drop for me.
I'm gonna piggyback on like what you just asked me, but I want to go back to what you just said about the female. What I don't know what you call it, sisterhood. No, yeah. I don't consider myself, and I don't know that my friends and friends circle is like that. I feel like that's for me. I can only speak for me and my circle. A mischaracterization. I think most of my friends, even in the last few years, have been on a path of like, yes, get money, but just sharing war stories of not having luck when it comes to dating. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there was like this obligation to, in a sense of like, you don't need a man, just work. Who said that? Nobody said. That's not our circle. And and most of my friends are professional women, Black women, diaspora women, born here and elsewhere, but Black women. And I don't think any of us thought, I don't need no man, I'm gonna get it myself. That's not what we felt like we had to because of bills, but it was in a sense of like a goal or some kind of like oath. Like that's not even close to my circle. I don't understand that. Like, and when I hear it and I see the gynocracy and all this and all that, I'm like, who are they talking about? That ain't me. They ain't never been me. Even in my 20s when I was trying to get this money, that ain't never been me talking about, I don't need a man. I don't even think I thought about it. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even like, it was just like, how do I get the next job? How do I get the next job? What job pays more? It was thinking like that. It wasn't about, so therefore I don't need. No, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go on this date. That was a bad date. Okay, keep it going. Look at this money that was going this week. It wasn't, I don't subscribe to that. And again, there may be, well, there is obviously some feminine thought that way. But I'm not familiar with that. That's not my circle. And I never felt any obligation of not having a man because of some kind of like sisterhood. Mm-hmm. Foolishness. No. So back to what you were saying about foolishness. I'm like, that's foolishness. Anybody who would preach that, because I grew up in a very religious kind of upbringing, went to church every Sunday, Bible study and choir rehearsal and youth group. I was very religious. And I think understanding purity culture was very big when I grew up. And we didn't understand marriage as deeply as I'm like kind of looking at it now. It was like, oh, you're going to grow up and you're going to get married. But I don't think the discussion of how that was supposed to happen or that you're supposed to play a role in that happening. I don't think that was discussed. But as you were saying, I do feel like one of my pivots to YouTube is to free me up so that I am ready, as my guest was on my channel earlier. Big up to all my folks. I'm not watching the chat, so I can't see if you're watching. All my folks who came over. But one of the things that she said is, if you want to be a wife, and I've been thinking about this kind of especially in the last few months, is that you have to be prepared to be a wife. If you say you want to be a wife, how does a man fit into your life? For real, can he look at your life and see where he can fit in? So when I pivoted to YouTube, with intention, it was more so like, again, I pivoted from a big firm to my own firm. Mistake. I end up working way more hours. They didn't tell me entrepreneurship, you work more hours than when you work for people.
That's
So
true.
I almost lost it. I had a title company, real estate practice on my own for like 3 years. It was very successful. But I didn't get home. That was really no dating. And I was like, what am I doing? Like staying here till 9, 10 o'clock doing closings. This is foolishness. So instead of granting me more freedom, it was like, that's when I really was like, I got to pivot out of this thing. That's how I got into personal injury. I was like, I need an area of law that is going to be way more flexible than this. Right. So that's a few years ago, I was like, no, I got to get out of real estate. I got to go into something that is low touch. Real estate for me was high touch. You touch a file several times. You have to touch like 10 bosses. You know, the realtor, the mortgage broker, the inspector, this. I was like, I just gave myself 10 bosses for a file, and not including, the buyer and the seller. Like it was foolishness. Like if I understood what I knew now, I was like, I would never have selected that as a type of solo practice, but you live and you learn. But in that season, this is prime time, prime youthful season. You're figuring out money and you're not figuring out marriage. So in my look at it now, with the wisdom I have now, I'm just like, you got to have what you can put in place to make money, fit in to a landscape where a man can see himself as, I hate y'all, so y'all might not like it, partner and priority, right? He has to see both.
You trying to get me in trouble, see?
If y'all don't want to be partners,
here come the lead.
You don't want to be partner. 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 So I said to myself, this is something, again, it marries my gifts. It marries my natural inclinations, which is the curiosity, which is the conversation, which is to elevate other people and heal them, help them. Right. So looking at what the lead did and looking at, what others have done, I was like, it's scary being a public person, a public figure in a sense. I found it easier to be on TV than to do this. I was like, I forgot the other people on the other side of the TV. People probably wrote me like 2 letters on TV.
Right.
Here it's like immediate, like all that. So, but I sought this out in terms of like, I'm a woman. At the end of the day, family is what I say I want. And I thought about other moves, and I've thought about taking political jobs. I worked on the Biden campaign, and I get emails every day about job openings and this. And I'm like, I ain't doing none of it. I'm not doing it. Because if I say I want family, I think your life has to be set up in a way that it can make it, like, as you get older, it's harder. Yeah. To filter out the bad. Oh, Jesus. There's a couple, even now. I don't even want to put people out there, but yeah. I thought to myself, I'm like, I want flexibility. I love a conversation. I'm good in front of a camera. What does that look like? So I could be in a newsroom. I could try for that path. I'm like, I'm not investing no more time in this. God has allowed, like, cleared a barrier for entry. Just start a YouTube. So if I'm looking at my life in 10 years, I would be happy if God's willing, I could sit here and still talk to y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I can hopefully make the income. Thank you, lead attorney. Right. That is, going to allow me to contribute to my household, even though I hear y'all don't care what we contribute to the household.
Let me say something. Let me speak to 2 different narratives that you spoke about. Let me first of all speak to one side of this narrative. First of all, I think you and I on this panel need to have another conversation, and let me explain why. Because you spoke about the career woman, you spoke about the struggle, but you also said we're not part of this narrative. Therefore, I want to have that conversation.
We men?
No, we women. You said your circle of friends never grew up.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they are.
That needs to be spoken.
Okay.
So
you think they are, Uncle Stu? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
See, for this platform, and I'm very bold, I'm not here for the narratives. I'm not here for the talking points. I'm here to have the conversation. Absolutely. I want to see marriages work, and I know marriages can happen. When I look at my big sister who was an officer in the military, and now she's this submissive woman like a little girl like you, guess what? You can't tell me that's not happening.
For the right man.
That's right. And so we need to have a real conversation where your story gets told.
Yeah, okay. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it.
I said that this platform was about one thing: elevating men and teaching women how to love the man they want to be with. But I'm also into that. If I find a woman who ain't living a certain narrative, she got her own story, her own life, her own experience, then I'm going to represent her too.
Amen.
Because at the end of the day, I got to answer to God. Nobody can get me into heaven but him. Nobody died on the cross but him. Nobody rose on the third day but him. I done been around the world. Yeah. So no one can teach me a talking point. I speak as Uncle Stu. I have experience.
Amen.
I've been through, came through, and living. So I'm not about the talking point.
Well, I'm with you. If there's a narrative that I can add to the mix, because that's one thing I'm always nervous about when I'm in chats that are very hardcore. What I'm learning is called red pill. I'd be like, who are y'all talking about? Where these women at? Like, right. Sometimes, that's not to absolve people of accountability, but that's to say, I guess I'm isolated. I don't know, because when I think about my circle and the thinking that we do, that's not how we think, bro. But again, everybody has their own narrative, and I can only express mine. So I appreciate that, Uncle Stu, for you to be open to talking to people that don't fit the mold.
We can definitely have that conversation, because I do have men who make real six figures. And I do know men who God-fearing, who wants to be married, who got something to lose if they hook up with the wrong woman.
Protect your legacy. Hello.
Right. So they understand that. So, like I said, I'm willing to take that, because you talked about raising the conversation, elevating the conversation. So I'm here to say, now you've come to the platform where we can raise that conversation, raise that elevation, but at the same time, let's get the right words and the right language so that I can make sure the right man, the right women hook up and then live a blessed and holy life unto God.
Uncle Stu, you're saying a word. You see, if we build back the Black family,
then you done build back the Black
nation. Man, America gonna give us back everything that they owe.
Right. Absolutely.
If we actually get back the Black family together and understanding that, and again, I'm not gonna say all women are perfect. And thank
you, Mr. Real Estate. First time watching one of your streams, OG. You're doing great things with your channel. Young Bucks, follow this OG. He will lead you to the mountaintop.
Hey,
praise God, praise God. Thank you again.
Yes.
So I need you to
I hear you, Uncle Stu. I see the same thing. And just to backtrack, when I first put my workshops together in real life, way before YouTube, I thought to myself, I needed healing. There has to be other women that are hurting, because I recognize in myself, I can't meet nobody to marry them right here, right now. If I'm so unhappy, if I realize that I'm lonely, I'm isolated, I'm, not feeling fulfilled, I'm not living to my fullest potential, there has to be other people feeling like that. And you cannot come into a situation with another human being where you haven't fully resolved that. I really thought to myself, there were parts of me that had, childhood issues and things like this, not deep traumas, but trauma to me, like, and things that I had to realize. I'm like, am I angry about that? Is that affecting me in a certain kind of way? I don't want to take that into a marriage. So I got to really feel like, how do I really feel about? And again, people think people with two parents who are still married ain't got problems. Yeah, there's issues in two-parent homes too. We have
Yeah.
we have challenges and issues just like anybody else. It wasn't, no one's perfect as a parent. There's no handbook. So
There's
I
no
feel
handbook
like
as a parent, and there's no handbook in marriage. You know why?
yes.
Because you're an individual.
And I've had so much more grace from my parents. I'm like, coming to another country, they could have been divorced several times just on the stress of coming here. Like
Mhm.
and the system, if you will, the same racial prejudice
Right.
that they weren't used to. They were like, oh, that's what they do here. Like it was
Yeah.
very, very real. And
Well, I
got a good
definitely,
welcome. So
yeah,
just all those things I have much more respect and admiration for right now. It hurt certain things while I was experiencing it.
right.
But I had to kind of like come to terms, excuse me, and
Mhm.
make peace with that past before you can be with anyone, before you can move forward. And I just felt like if I was hurting, if I needed that type of just exhale. Boy, I had some of the deepest conversation with strangers. And I'm telling you, the therapy movement in 2017, 2018 wasn't really a big deal. Like people
Right.
hadn't started talking about therapy. So and I tell people my model is almost a group therapy model. And I ain't got no certificate. I'm not practicing therapy. Hello,
Right,
everybody knows I've been practicing therapy.
right.
But the healing that takes place, I know it's a gift. Like that discerning insight is not supposed to just be for me. But it took me to see, God, what is going on the inside of you to understand weight or really question whether there were other women feeling the same way. And my stuff took off. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of women that feel like this. The professional women lead that are drawn to my platforms oftentimes are like dying. And
Well,
again,
see, a
sister
lot
got it
of,
going together. Sister
yeah.
got it going on the external. So that's a real thing. This whole I wear the mask and that whole which I call it imposter syndrome or superwoman syndrome or combo is real. And I don't think sometimes we feel I don't know, safe enough because of past experience. I don't think it's because of who the men are that you may necessarily meet now. But if based on your past, this guy was a dummy and this guy didn't treat you well, and now you've kind of putting everybody in one category. And I think we all have to get better at not judging the current person by what the past
Mhm,
person did. And it's very
mhm.
difficult to do. And again, you have to be very evolved on the inside to do that, to not hold everybody responsible for what one person did that was terrible. But I think those tools are not being taught, Uncle Stu. I think there are a lot of professional women that don't know relationship stuff um, from a healthy perspective. I don't know. I think a lot of the school book training
Mhm,
and
mhm.
what grandma them used to pass down and talk about this is how a woman and a man go and this is like I learned way more from my African American friends about relationships. They understand it and I think they pass down stuff more. That was not discussed. That was very off
Right.
limits. So
Well,
I'm grateful for that.
my that's what my platform is here for. You
I think
know,
it's great. I think it's great, Uncle Stu. I think there are
I
people that
have daughters, so I know the emotions and everything. Now, I ain't gonna say I know everything about a woman, but trust me, when you had daughters, you learn a whole lot on that side. But I'm a
your
man,
daughters
so
need
I
to be
know this
taught.
side.
Sorry for interrupting, Uncle Stu.
Mhm.
Daughters need to be taught what a man needs.
Well, you. Oh, so we're gonna have a longer
Because
platform.
no,
See,
no,
I'm
I'm
trying.
just telling you,
You,
I
we
didn't learn
only
that till
going
a
to
few
about
years
11 o'clock.
ago.
You go to that list. Well,
Listen, I think
let
our
me
white
say this:
counterparts get that type of education, bro. They understand more how
heal.
what makes a man tick and like how simple most men like I don't want to it's not a pejorative, but it's more so to say men are less complicated than women in many ways.
Well,
On average.
yeah.
On average. I don't want to be
On
negative.
average, let me say
Mhm.
that a man that has did the work on himself. Key word that you said. My right hand partner says it all the time, and I guess I'm just going to have to do some videos about it. Self awareness. Okay,
Yes.
when you're not self aware of, if I'm not self aware of me as a man, then I'm not going to know when the rib shows up.
Uncle Stu. Uncle
You
Stu,
do you
don't start.
understand? So every man is supposed to find his rib, not the multiples of ribs. His rib. Why? Because it is him. And the more self-aware we become, that means we get to take all kinds of stuff off our eyes, our ears, and our ear gates, and then we can hear the voice of God, who can direct us to the woman of God, who's going to direct us to the family of God. And see, so the more aware he is, but it also goes to the woman, because what does the Bible says? It says the man that finds a wife, that means she is already in wife mode. That means she's already become aware. And see, I know everybody hates this word, but to me, the self-awareness comes from, I got into a relationship with this guy in high school, not because we was young. She took accountability for her part of not making that relationship work. There's a difference. I don't sit up here and say, oh, it's on the youth. That's a lie. You know why I say that? Because we got historical records of people being married at 17 and 18 and making 50-year marriages work.
So yeah, no, I honestly think that's a formula, Uncle Stu. Exactly. I honestly, that was never taught to me as an option.
Right. But what we got to do is say, what part did you play in this marriage? If a woman tells me, and I'm going on my experience, if a woman tells me, oh, I dated 3 guys, all 3 of them cheated, I always ask, what part did you play? Because a man just don't really go out here and cheat. I know the language of the options stuff. I ain't talking about options. That means there's something you wasn't doing. And then the more I get into what she was not doing, oh, you forced every single one of them men that direction. Same thing.
Let me push back a little bit, Uncle Stu, when you're ready.
No, you're going to have a good pushback, because my sister said the same thing. My sister explained to me, woman cheated. Why? Because the man wasn't listening. See, so it's on both sides. If I'm not listening to my woman and my woman not listening to me, it's going to cause a problem. That's communication. So I don't put it all on one side and all on the other. I need to know what the story really is. Do I see the statistics? I do. Do I hear the narratives? I do. But guess what? I don't want to see the statistics no more, because I believe that we can live above the statistic.
I agree.
I believe that statistics is only a picture in time. Guess what? My God came before time, so I'm here to break that time. So the time is now. So that's why I said, I love you, because you shared a part of yourself that you didn't have to share.
Amen.
You spoke and you felt at peace on a quote unquote male-run platform. But you was totally in, since these new words like to come up, you was totally in your feminine, but you had total vulnerability. And with your total feminine and that total vulnerability, hopefully it will draw other women to say, we can go to Uncle Stu platform and we can get totally naked and not be ashamed. I am setting up Patreon next month where I can have these conversations where it won't even be on a public platform. They can have the conversation with Granddaddy Stu, with Daddy Stu, with Uncle Stu, and Big Brother Stu. And then the ones that don't need Stu, there'll be a lower tier where they just say, we supporting you, Stu. Because I'm all those things in real life. I'm a granddaddy. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. And I got the scars. I done been down the roads. I'm a vet. I'm a man of God. I done traveled the world. And I'm still here. I don't live on talking points. I live through the experiences I have. And wherever I'm weak, I find someone to fill that weakness. And then we walk together as a team. So,
Uncle Stu, I appreciate you having me. I want to add to one point that you were bringing up when it comes to the self-awareness piece, because I think especially when we're seeing patterns as you describe, where people cheat on people or people do other things, I think I recently, and I was like, I don't know, because I had a dream. Y'all know I dream very vivid. My channel knows I dream very vivid, but I had a dream last night. No, I had a dream based on a person that I met recently. And there's nothing more, I don't think you'll ever watch this, but there's nothing more disappointing to me than a person who yay, I'm not reading the comments, so hey. But kings that don't know that they're kings. I find that, when people say, oh, he's single, oh my God, all this, like, you ignored. I'm like, ignored who? I really want to say ignored who?
Right.
There's a lot of times where timing is very critical. And when you meet a person, whether you're the man or whether you're the woman, where they are in terms of their state of mind. That's why when you talk about getting the work done and doing your individual work, that's what my platform is about too, doing the work. So that when you meet that person, you're giving your best self. I find it so ironic sometimes where people say they want one thing. Of course, the lip service is different than the action. And when you can see right through a person, again, when you've done the work, you can really see right through a person. And it's with love, and it's not with shame and guilt and all this other stuff. But it really struck me from someone who crossed my path recently, how much he was keep on, big up yourself. It struck me, finish my thought, thank you. It struck me how much I think he wasn't aware that a lot of his activities, and I would just say promiscuity, to me had to do with more of a hole in his, I wouldn't even call it his heart, but more so like something that is unresolved. I was trying to explain to him, I say, my brother, you are trying to gain ego or a sense of, approval from this act. But if you knew who you were, and if you were actually really confident and at peace within yourself, your body, this would be more selective for you, a more sacred thing. And he pushed back a little bit, but I was like, I can see this is a man that don't see himself. So I see you, my brother. I see it. I'm just using him as an example of people who, like you mentioned, the person in a marriage and everybody's cheating and all that. But I would push back to just say, it's not only what she did, is who she believes herself to be and where her holes are in terms of her own personal story. That is why you can continue to attract, and I wouldn't say force them to cheat, people that cheat on you.
Right.
If you continually attract people that reject you, if you continually attract this, it's more so, I'm not saying that her behavior wasn't a part of it, but I'm like, I don't see it like that. I see that there's some part of her internal narrative that she has not worked to unlock and really deal with. Because as I'm listening to this brother talk, I'm always like, God, he don't see himself the way, it's like a king in the making. But in his heart, because he's not, to me, again, his ego is tied to his sexuality at the moment, because he's making up for some other deficit he feels. That's how I see him. But again, that's why I'm saying it goes back into that internal work that all of us must do. We don't want to blame parents. We don't want to talk about the injury. It's not a victim Olympic. It's not any of that. But you got to deal with you before your spouse have to deal with you. That's what I realized. Even in my own family, you know what I'm saying? My father, I have so much respect for him, but he has dealt with a lot of emotional toll. My father grew up like a orphan, basically. So understanding why he expressed himself in certain ways and why he was emotionally unavailable other times, I had to really deal with that, because as a child, you might say it's you. You might think it's you. And again, hence my fight for approval, my fight to achieve, hence my, my accolades and helping to hear I'm great, right? And those type of things. So I had to deal with that for myself as well. So there's a myriad of things. I don't always want to say that is you, but is you not on a surface, is you from things that have been sitting in your spirit and are unresolved. Those are the things that to me kill people. All this, what he's doing on these streets. I'm like, you shooting yourself, you're offing yourself, but you don't have a thing in your hand. But you slowly doing it though, because that's how you really feel about you. And you think I'm gonna let you in my life and confuse me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So if you are a person that is in a higher vibration, because you've been doing the work to really evaluate oneself and say, God, am I the best person I could offer another person? Maybe 2 years ago, probably not. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been divorced, Uncle Stu, because my mind wasn't even on how the other person feel and how to treat the other person. I feel like I'm grateful that God had taken the blinders off my eyes, because I didn't have the toolbox. I couldn't even tell you. Besides cook, clean, and do other things, I wouldn't even understand what to do.
Right, because
the emotional level and other places where people need support. And then for those areas he has not dealt with, how to gently help him unpack and heal. But those things come to the privilege that don't come from people who coming out with all this baggage and haven't done anything about it, So I caution always, like, people cause people to do this. I'm very much more so on the end of, like, there's so many people walking around with unresolved baggage and issues that cause them to kind of present, themselves in a certain way and injure others, even some of them subconsciously. But you ain't finna injure me. I just want to tell him you finna bring
because what does the Bible says? To love God and to love the church as you love yourself. And if
he don't love himself, that's what I wanted. I can't say to him because I don't want to hurt him. But I want to say, brother, you giving away your gift the way you giving it away tells me you don't love yourself. You compensating for something that you think is not there, right? That's how I saw him from I met him. I was like, this man don't love himself. But it's just an example. I don't want to use him as like a
you're
just as an example.
I told you, look, I'm looking at my calendar. I'll be seeing you back in about 2 years. Because you stated at the very beginning of this conversation that you wanted to elevate the conversation.
Absolutely.
And I've been having conversations with other men, 2 of them today, and they're trying to also elevate the conversation. So let's now create that space and elevate the conversation.
I'd be happy to be on back here.
Okay. And bring your crew, girl. Bring your crew. Bring the crew. What I'm going to do?
What Mr. Real Estate up here talking about? You so funny. Y'all so funny.
All right.
Y'all so funny.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop the link.
Yes.
All right. New rules. I'm sorry. Got to do it. I need you uncammed up while you are up here. I'm going to let you know real quick. If TLA hit that link, y'all might get punked because that's TLA. And there's levels to this thing. So we got to be in a level position, So I'm just letting y'all know he might be in the backdrop. He going to hit the link. I got to let him up. But I need everybody to be uncammed up. Listen, let me let you know we got a short amount of time. So you just ask your one question or make your statement so I can let other people up as well. All right. I'm dropping the link. But yes, I am, because February, I'm trying to make it. Not only am I trying to make sure I got couples, but I am trying to have a better intellectual dialogue in the month of February to elevate the conversation.
Fantastic.
I'm getting with mental health professionals who can be in the Patreon and be able to have that conversation and also have that platform where women can feel safe to be vulnerable. Now I'm not telling you talk about every dirt and issue, but the vulnerability of just being able to say, Uncle Stu, I need help. What can I do? And to be able to provide that help. I've had some personal emails. And I'm not gonna say the names of the people that emailed me, but I've had some personal emails, and it was very touching. And they did come from women, and they was like, "Look, we here, we rock with you, we support you." I'm like, "But I never see you come on the platform." And it's like, "No, we don't." You know what I'm saying?
This can be intimidating, Uncle Stu. It can be.
Right. And so I get it, and because I get it, it's like, okay, I got to set up another platform just for them so that they can have the father they never really had. Let me just go down that road. Be the daddy they never had. The daddy that isn't going to touch them the wrong way, but just going to love them the way they need to be loved, so that they can at least get the healing of what a father really is. Be the grandfather they wish they had, so that they can understand what that role is.
Give them wisdom. Give them wisdom.
Yes.
Give them wisdom.
This is my big sister.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, evening.
Good evening.
I know I'm looking like I've been drove.
No,
I'm still unpacking. So I'm still unpacking, trying to get the house together. But really quick.
Let me put you right equal with your sister.
Hey.
Well, first of all, you look lovely. You look lovely all the time, but I'm really loving the hair, honey.
Changed up. Thank you.
I'm loving the hair. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Just really quick. Bruh, it's interesting that we were talking about that thing earlier today. Just earlier today.
Yes. And not only that, I got one more other person in the chat. He's probably going to blow up my phone tonight and be like, we just talked about that. And I'm like, yeah, we sure did.
Good.
Yes. Can I share it really quickly?
You sure can. Yes.
And I share this from the 54-year-olds, but actually I share it from the late 40 something perspective, because that's when it happened to me. I was telling Uncle Stu that I dated a guy obviously many years before I met my husband, but and he was saying that he was divorced, and he shared with me that his wife cheated on him, and they had been married for a long time. And, at first, as a woman, you're thinking, well, what did she do to mess that up? And blah, 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 because that's what we think. We have a tendency to think. But as I got to know him, and I noticed, he worked a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So I compared that to the stories he was telling me.
Okay.
And I said, I will never condone cheating.
Right.
I said, but you pushed her away. I said, you weren't listening to her.
That happens. It's true. Yeah.
I said, how many times did she say,
come home.
I want to spend some time with you. How many times did you tell me that she said, when you're with the family, you're not with the family? How many times did you tell me that when you would be at home, you'd be falling asleep when you're supposed to be interacting? I said, so you weren't listening to her. And even though she was saying, you were telling her that I'm doing all this work for the kids, and you weren't listening to her.
It's a fine line, man. People, and I see that because as a dad, my dad's love language is acts of kindness, like acts. Him going to work and making sure you got a roof and food on your table and clothes on your back. That's his love language, yes. But I think now, especially in more kind of recent times, people are not just satisfied with, okay, you did this, stay over there, and be happy, be content. Much more is needed as far as their emotional support, and of course, just that physical and all that goes with your marriage life. So my hearts go out to people who are experiencing that type of like loneliness in a marriage. That's real. That's very real. And I do agree. There are times people do push people away. There are times, TJ, that's a very good, yet sad example of sometimes people do that and unintentionally.
Right. And I think as it relates to me, we're talking about dating and stuff like that. As you're trying to climb the ladder, whether it be corporate, whether it be in the military, whether it be in the federal government, there's a price to pay for all of that. And the price you pay is your time. But you talked about when you had your real estate, the price you pay is your time.
Yeah.
And so where is the time to date? Where is the time, if you have a significant other, to invest in them and you invest in each other? Where is the time to do that? So, and my daughter was saying something just the other day, she's wise beyond her years. I'm like, gosh, you came from me. But anyway, she said that women, as they're, going up the ladder, whether it be, lash business, hairstylist, lawyer, doctor, whatever, they should start to ask themselves, for the right person, right man, would I walk away from it? And if the answer is no, the question may be, are you ready for what you think you say you want?
Let me chew on that, TJ. Let me chew on that. That's deep. That's deep. I feel like just before that, I think women growing up the corporate ladder need to say kind of what we've been saying here, or what I've been saying here, is what is the sacrifice of time worth? Like, before we say, can we give it up? I don't think we're being taught that this is going to sacrifice a lot of your, prime years where you should be thinking family. That realization didn't come to me until like the last few years. So even when I should have been thinking about it and the corporate climb was all I could see, there was nobody, bing, 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 knock, knock. Did you think about a family? You want to, consider all the factors that are going on right now and what your next choice should be? That was not. I think that needs to be part of the discussion. But on top of that, would you give it up? I do think there are people that are not realistic in what a family is going to take. Like, I heard an older woman tell me one time, a wife is a servant. And people laughed and chuckled and giggled. And I thought, I think she's kind of actually being serious, guys. I was like, I noticed the church meeting. Was it say woman who cheats on her man hate him also? I didn't read it, but yeah.
I took it off again. I took it off because this one was towards TJ.
Let me grow him. Put it up again.
The other one.
Let me grow them.
Oh.
It's on you.
A woman who cheats on her man hate him also. She does not love. I won't necessarily disagree with that in some instances.
I was going to say, it depends on the situation. There are a bunch of reasons why people cheat. Mm-hmm.
In some instances. But we've already talked about, not necessarily in this conversation, that men and women cheat for different reasons. Women cheat for emotional connections. Men cheat, who knows, but women generally an emotional connection. You understand me? Because long before there is any intercourse, the mind, the heart. So
being wrapped up.
Absolutely. And when your woman is begging you to spend time with me, begging you. I even gave an example with my ex-husband. I didn't cheat on him, but we didn't stay together long either. But my daughter's father, my daughter said, and listen to this, fathers, because again, the love languages you're providing, that is important. My ex-husband came from that ilk. My husband is from that ilk. My grandfather, love language is provision. But we've already talked about these generations that have come. They need more.
Mm-hmm.
They need more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My daughter, when she was in her single digits, because my ex-husband worked so much, she said, Mom, how much money do I have to make so I can give my dad so he can spend some time with me? Because his clients are more important. So if I have some money, if I pay him, will he spend some time with me? You need to listen. You say you're doing it for your kids. Okay, listen. And I share with Uncle Stu. When my ex-husband started to get upset that our daughter kept asking him for money, I'm like, well, that's what you said. You said money is the primary, not the time, not the investment. I'm getting off track, but here's the thing. So
no, you're giving a good word. There's some people that need a reminder. It's okay. And it's not a condemnation and it's not a judgment, but I think it's a good reset reminder because a lot of men, and I think it's a good thing, wanting to be a good provider is a good thing. We're not saying that it ain't good. We're not saying this, but that's first box check. However, just like women have to balance, and there has to be some time invested, not just the monetary invested, the time also. As TJ pointed out, we're emotional creatures, right? So that time, that date night, that family, dress up and go out together night, and vacays, those are important just the same. We trade the money for that, honestly. So it has to have a balance to it. That's all. There has to be a balance to it.
Because I gave up my career willingly. I was,
as long as y'all don't mind me YouTube, and that's it.
I mean, he enjoys it because he allows, I do it when he's not home, because when he's home, it's his time. But, okay. I walked away from, he allowed me to retire from the federal government, and I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed it. I worked very hard to get to where I was, but my family and my home life was more important. So I said, no, I'm out.
I think, especially when it comes to women who are older, if you will, say past 30, I don't think that's old, but okay, that's what we're saying, 30 to 50, let's say. I think or do you think that there's need for, more education? Or I don't know if it's because it can't come from school. It's like a wisdom type thing. I think when you're younger, especially in your marriage, if you're married before 30, you grow together. But if you're after 30, you have already kind of grown in a direction, and he has kind of grown in a direction. I don't know, how do women get a very good sense, if they don't have one already, of the type of, what should I say, compromise they will have to make when it comes to, we're talking about work right now, but I don't know for someone to fit into your life and you to fit into their life, there's going to have to be some compromise. Do you think that there's enough, I don't know, just material, I don't know where they're getting it from, but or enough exchange between the older generation and the next one, or whoever, that's letting people understand, if you say you want a relationship and you say you want marriage, the type of compromise that is going to be necessary to make one successful? Do you think there's a, realistic understanding among, say, professional women that, hey, Friendsgiving, that
thank you for the $25 cash app, Friendsgiving.
Well, I can say for me, it wasn't. So I can't speak, but for me, it wasn't. Because I had some married friends, but they're, not a lot. Yeah. So when you don't have a lot of married friends, you don't, where do you get it from? And then if your female elders are not married either, where do you get it from? Where do you get it from?
Real. This is real, TJ. This is real.
And I'm gonna add this to that. I told you before, I don't talk from talking points. Mm-hmm. I come from a real life experience. Mm-hmm. People can come to my house and they can see brown eyes for themselves. Okay. And I'm of that older persuasion. If you don't know what a healthy marriage look like, you can't give me talking points and then say this and that. You understand? If you don't know what a mother looks like and a father looks like and a family looks like, you don't know what it sees. So that's why I set this platform up, because they need to see TJ. Oh, so this is what a wife looks like. But then they need to see you. Oh, this is what, I don't want to always say unhappy career. This is what that looks like. And she has the language I need. And she gives me the space to say, so what? I'm a career woman. This is really what I want. Mm. She don't have to hear a talking point. She knows she has an image. Go ahead, TJ.
And I have to correct myself on one thing. Before I decided that I wanted to retire, because me and my husband would be together almost 4 years, and I just officially retired this past October. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do and take my career, maybe do a couple of promotions and do something different. And my mom said to me, she said, what are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? She said, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. Right. You don't need to prove yourself to anybody. Right. You've worked, just kind of sit back and relax. And I think when it comes, and my mom has not been married since 98. So I think when it comes to that, particularly when we're older, we have to ask ourselves, if we're still climbing, who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for us, to a sense of, to somehow feel, that we're whatever we are? Because once we've gotten to a certain point, we don't need to prove ourselves anymore. And I had to realize, I'm like, I don't need to prove how smart I am anymore, because, I done this.
I'm gonna put a little something in there, TJ, because I think before I get the moniker of unhappy career woman from
I'm
just clarifying.
Okay.
No.
I didn't get that. Because I am happy, but there are other things I want to add to my life. Let's just maybe you could talk about used to be unhappy. Okay, fine.
Okay.
But the part that you talk about, TJ, and I think there is some cultural and societal elements that I think keep us in this. And then Uncle Stu, you could add on, because I think you might talk about the sisterhood and whatnot. But I think especially when we look at the context of being people of color, Black people in America, this understanding of what we kind of shoulder as a burden in terms of achievement to our counterparts has us sometimes locked and loaded and kind of like trapped, because we are not necessarily conscious of the fact that we're trying to measure up. But many of us are thinking, indirectly or subconsciously about, how much we want to show, and the implicit show who is our counterparts, that we are just as capable, just as successful, just as, whatever, got the house on the right block, we got the car we want to drive, and that kind of thing. So I do think some of it might be in a broader context related to that burden that we are carrying to prove ourselves. And I think our parents, particularly those who were reared in the 60s and the 70s, when it came from the Black Power movement and the civil rights movement, when we started emphasizing education, I don't really think that generation thought education over marriage. I don't think that was the economy. It was just a matter of like, we had never had full access to it the way we got now. We weren't allowed in certain schools. We weren't allowed in this. Like, now y'all can go to the PWI. Now y'all can do this. Go. Like, I think there was, this push again in the framework of looking at society as a whole as like, we here now. Let's take advantage of it. Thank you. I agree with that, Perry Unlikely. 100%. Big up, Perry Unlikely. But yeah, I think there was this push that not only within the individual, Uncle Stu, it's not only within us. Like I said, there's societal, there's parental, what I call family, because I don't just represent my mom and my dad. I come from a tribe. Yeah. So when I say pressure, it's not just I don't know how many first cousins, almost 30 first cousins. So more than that. But yeah, it's like, the expectation again from one household to another. Oh, look at what they doing. She got into this degree program there. So what are you doing? Okay, she got into this. Like, we have this whole, again, it's a tribal dynamic where yes, you're you. But as an African American, we're in a context of, well, I have to show and I have to prove that I'm just as good or just as capable. And like I said, from macro to micro, as the whole society. And when I step into that door, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to push more. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. I don't want to like take that out of the conversation as far as like why we do this. We didn't just wake up and I'm going to quote.
Absolutely not.
No. I'm not going to choose career. Like I that's why I even resent. I'm like, career woman.
No, because
like, who am I? I just did what I was told to do.
Absolutely.
And I happen to be working and making money. That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
And let me apologize for the vernacular of the hurt woman, that whole thing. And I want you to forgive me for that, because that's why I want to continue to have the conversation And you better believe Brown Eyes is hunting through the calendar right now. So you might be getting a message within about 24 hours. Be like, we got this date. The reason I say that is because I am here to elevate the conversation. And I said, I'm not sticking to everybody's talking points, because my attitude is, if you got a talking point, I want to hear your experience. I want to know. I want to see your face.
I'm 100% with you.
I want to see your face.
Come on, y'all. Come on up.
To come up.
But to TJ's point, don't mean to cut you, but to TJ's point, when you say, who are you trying to prove? I'm telling you, all of us wake up at different times. That's me sitting in the firm by myself late at night trying to do what I'm doing. And I'm like, what am I doing this for? But I didn't have a concept really of, girl, you're supposed to be putting on your heels and getting out on the streets and trying to see what you can find. As far as if you want a husband, that was a time. No, my mindset was like, people get money by starting companies. Okay, the business I'm aware of. I'm aware of law, so let me start this type of company and let me do this. What is it? Oh, perhaps for real.
So many gems tonight over here. Perhaps an Uncle Stool up there.
My people.
Thank you.
But yeah, I feel like, there's a consciousness that develops. Like you said, you got to tap on your shoulder. Like Mama said, why are you doing this? There's not.
She literally said.
Yes, there's not enough of that tap. That tap for me came, kind of like self-inflicted tap. But there was not a big sister, as you call it. There's not a mentor, Uncle Stu. I'm like, there's none of that that's saying, within my immediate circle anyway, that is saying, whoo, 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 what you doing this for, sis? What do you think you need to be doing? Why are you know what I'm saying? That had to be like my own maturity and my own self-awareness. But there's many more women and guys, I'm sure, that could benefit. Again, I guess that's why we're here, Uncle Stu, by saying, tap, tap, why are you doing this? I've had a family member even say to me, they've been dating and it's been kind of rough where they are. Shout out to the DMV. But she's like, she's thinking about like, I want to have a kid by myself. And I'm thinking to her, I'm like, but you don't have to. Like, yes, you've hit some rough patches. Yes, there have been some oops, no's. But the alternative that it seems so simple, oftentimes like the counterweight is not presented, or with someone within the circle or the mentor group or the church group or whatever is not necessarily there as readily as we're kind of more, isolated and all that, pandemic and other ways. But I'm just like, but sis, you don't have to. Is that the best way to raise a child? I'm not judging any single mom. Don't get me wrong. But she has a choice. And she's like, we'll bump all this date and this sucks. I'm going to go do this. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. There's not enough counterweight in public spaces, I guess, that has people thinking in a different design from one and only, career path or go get it and all that, specifically for women. There's not enough of that.
And also to that point, because I know some people that have done this too. And I think one of the things we don't think about is, yes, we may want to be mothers, but at what cost to our children? Because, I'm grateful that I had my daughter.
I know.
I'm grateful. And it was, and I honestly asked myself, even though it wasn't planned, even though I was irresponsible and et cetera, if I didn't have her, I probably wouldn't have any kids because I was not married. And then by the time I got married,
time.
So in that respect, I am grateful. But if I would have gotten to the point that I'm just going to do this, and I'm not judging either, but knowing what I know, just having the child that I had with my ex-husband, that they need both. Even growing up without my father, that led to some of the decisions I made in choices I made in dating. We need both. So, I think, we as women, we may want to be mothers, but in some instances, I think we may be selfish because we're not thinking about everything that goes along with it. And for some people, it's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of there. That's another whole conversation too. But I agree 100%. Though there's so many things. Like I said, the counter culture narrative to what the mainstream, I don't know if to call it mainstream media or what to call it, that is telling women, go do this by yourself, go do this, go do that. It can be so damaging. And I just think we need, especially within our community, kind of a back to basics approach, but I don't know where the information would come from, you know, I don't know. We talk to each other. Single women talk to each other. Like we blind leading the blind with love. But there's a lot of, you know, just alternative facts, I guess, we can, you know, share that don't necessarily have I think you would call it Uncle Stu, not to put words in your mouth, the system of talking points. But I don't think people understand that there are other ways of doing life, especially like you said, if they have not been exposed to at least a version of grandma them, uncle them, somebody of healthy marriage. It almost seems like it's elusive or something that we cannot obtain or be a part of. So I think we just need more spaces that we could talk about the good things and the ways in which you can, you know, it's not too late to kind of realign. Okay, why am I climbing this corporate ladder? For what? For what? For who? You know, and again, your wake up call might come later. It might come earlier. But I think especially for people who did not get married before 30, we have to really talk about the compromise stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot there that people are not realistic in terms of what it means to live with someone and to become one.
Right. And
help me, God.
Yeah. And to answer your question, the genesis is here. And I'm not saying just this platform. The genesis is here because you're already doing the work. Sometimes, you know, what they say, hurt single women, keep other women single.
No, that's not what he said.
I know. I had to use an extra word, and there's a reason. Single women keep other women single.
My daughter even said that.
Right.
Some of them do. Not everybody, but some of them do.
But if we're not having elevated conversation, then we get stuck in our extremes. When we don't have the neutral platform that says, okay, you talk, let me hear everything going on your side. Okay, I'm going to talk and I'm going to tell you everything going. Okay, I'm going to work on the brothers. I need y'all to go work on the sisters. We'll meet back again in about 6 months. Because that's what I say when I say you can't bog me down to a talking point. I'm a whole man. So I'm listening. I'm here to hear. You're coming up with new languages, new words, new understanding. Okay, got it. That's not you can't fit that in a talking point. Let's bring that down. Got it.
What I was saying when it comes to, and I think it kind of goes to Suzette's point, when they say single women keep women single, it is because we don't know what we don't know, and we offer our opinions, our insight based on our experiences, but we don't know what we're
right.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're bridging it somewhat here. Other platforms as well on this space are trying to bridge that so that people can hear a different voice, hear a different perspective, and not get caught up or stuck, you know, in their own individual circle or within their own mind with that plus the media. So I agree with you. There are some great single girlfriends. We ain't gonna say everybody, but sometimes we don't even have the tools within our toolbox to know, you know, give this guy a chance. Maybe this is not this. Maybe that is that. You know, those type of things. We get a quick, girl, don't call him back. Cut him off because he sucks.
Right. Because we got to recognize the man you're looking for ain't going to be perfect.
At all.
At all. So if you're looking for this type of a man and you ain't got everything ready, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
You know, you'll find out the great men really wasn't up there. He really had some work down here, but he built up to here. They worked together to get here. This is why I say I don't listen to talking points. I want to hear your conversation.
Absolutely. And again,
know the in depth.
Sorry.
No. I want to know the in depth, and then that way we can work it.
And I think that's, like I said, it's a beautiful place to do that here on YouTube. And again, there are women that have made decisions, and again, it's not for me to speak for them. And actually, I would love to hear from them. If you have made a decision where you said, bump it, I'm gonna go have a baby, I'd love to hear your perspective. I'd love to hear that. It's not to create a scarlet letter of sorts, or like, oh my God, you got it wrong. But I'm just, postulating that there are different reasons why people do it, and I want to know why. And then does it have the outcome, or will it most likely have the outcome that you want? That's all I think. I think we need to ask those questions, more fervently, for people to understand, there may be options for you. Maybe there aren't. Maybe that is the real deal. I really think there are women who have, made this decision, and they have interesting reasons as to why. So I want to leave that open too. I don't know, I have all the answers, guys. I'm just saying.
I think that's TJ. Do you need to get back up? I can drop the link. Put one in the chat if you need me to drop the link.
I think TJ had froze.
Yeah, because she froze, and then she said it kicked her out. So
okay.
And I wanted to constantly hear her perspective. I like what you said. I'm trying to work out something with Nathan Daly, because he's dealing with a great topic that we want to do on a platform, which is who is the least unprotected.
Oof.
And that has
society, in American society, who's the least unprotected.
Because think about it. What's the
least
one
protected?
Thing the one thing that we always say is, or you hear women say, women are the least protected. Black women are the least protected. But in reality, why are we separating ourselves when we're both?
This is not a victim Olympics. This is not a victim Olympics.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like we gotta have a conversation. But what's the solution? So everything you brought up tonight is like, in my head, I'm going, okay, by the time we get to February and had a conversation, we're okay, TJ. By the time we get to February, I'm thinking, okay, I got this solution. Okay, this one came up with the solution for this, because we got to be solution oriented. I don't want to just have a whole bunch of people yelling and screaming back and forth. It's like, I want you to see women speak, men speak. Okay, what's the solution? And I'm all about the solution. And some people don't want the solution. Some people is going to want to stay in misery. Some people is going to want to stay. But the ones that says, okay, y'all came up with an action plan, let's do the action plan. Do the plan before you complain about the plan. So, but I'm looking at the time. I know you said at least 9:00.
Yes. Is anybody else in the back?
No, nobody's back here.
Okay. Anybody else got any last sentiments, questions? Y'all, I mean,
anybody? I'm gonna drop the link.
Last call.
Last call. But yes, you definitely gave me like 2 panels, and I think it's just, I'll even let you moderate one of them, because I think you need to moderate that, all because it'll give balance. Because I'm quite sure there's ways that you could talk to women that I can't, because I'll be like, I don't know how to speak that language, And
it's just a matter of different experiences, different perspective. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. No,
I still have Snuggles here. Snuggles.
Snuggle in the back.
No, Snuggles. No. Now Snuggles does not come up.
Snuggles be talking about, I just missed it.
Right where Snuggles is. Snuggles ain't coming up.
I just missed it. I'd be like, okay. Hey, Snuggles. Hey, Destination Dad. How are you?
And let me tell you, he always knows I tease him, right? The first time, and this came from TLA, it was like, new YouTuber, Destination Dad. I'm thinking, I'm gonna go with his place. I'm gonna learn about being a dad, and maybe him and his kids travel. First video I saw, GoPro 10. He did that video so excellent. Guess what?
What was it about?
GoPro 10. The video camera. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But he did it so perfectly.
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go buy a GoPro 10. So
no,
you gotta go.
The story I remember when TLA wanted to bring him up, and he was like, "I don't know, your screen look." I were in the chat like, "No, he's real. Bring him up." TLA was like, that was right after Lil Peep. He was like, "Nah, I don't like how your screen look." Bye. Before Destination Dad got kicked down, I'm like, wait a minute. It was a real person, TLA. That was so funny.
But nah, he good dude. All right. Well, no one want to come up. Well, I'm quite sure.
Thank you, Uncle Stu.
She done circled about a couple of days. Be like, okay, we're gonna get Suzette up here. We're gonna get on here. You know. But yes, let's have that as a part 2 conversation.
Absolutely.
And so we could try to really dig a little bit deeper and like ask those questions. Where are you getting the narrative from that you don't need a father? I mean,
or that you don't need a husband, or that you must choose, or that now it's too late, or that whatever, because you got kids, you can't get no man, or that this or that. We just had like 2 women on my show, both had kids and both married happily, prior to their marriage and things like this. So I think there's so many kind of very limiting and self-limiting narratives that we carry that doesn't allow us to see, ourselves fully, and doesn't allow us to understand the opposite sex. This is real. I think there's a lot of information that, again, has been
a lot of information.
The 80s and 90s babies. I don't know if we got all the information we need. But we're trying now.
We can get it done. We could definitely get it done. Let me tease Perry Unlikely. Perry, I was told you still got your card, man. So that means you still have a right to come up. Perry ain't going to be able to come up tonight. I want to talk to the ladies in the chat, and I want to talk to the ladies that's listening, whether you listen now, whether you listen when the live stream is over. If you're afraid or fear or worry about coming on the panel, email me, please. Email me. If you heard this conversation, email me. Mixmaster, just uncam up, Mixmaster Miko. I see you in the back.
To the ladies out there too, don't be afraid to change your mind. You could have wanted one thing for your whole life, or thought you wanted one thing for your whole life. And it's okay now to change it. It's not embarrassing. It's not to say, life is done for you or whatever. It's okay now to say, wow, I thought one way, but now I think differently. That's okay. That's okay to change your mind.
Right. And like I said, if you're afraid to come, please email me, IG me. Or any of the moderators, please put my email and IG in the chat. Do not be afraid. Brown eyes don't have a frying pan and trying to hit me over the head. That's not how this work over here. But email me if you got a question, you got a comment. I don't care how long the email is. Write it so that we can deal with your issue. Mixmaster Miko, I need you to uncam up while you in the back, else I can't put you up on the panel.
We have to see your face. You have to put your face up. And Perry Unlikely said he don't want to. He's scared to lose his mind. He don't want to change his mind. Let me go over to the comments real quick.
He know my boy from China will come flying in here.
Thank you for putting on my channel, Big Bad Boy, and you guys. I see you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right. You ready? You're not ready yet? He's on cam. I'm going to pull you up. All right.
You're on
cam.
Good to go.
Go on.
All right, hold up. I was gonna read quite page come out tonight. Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Awesome. So Suzette, what's happening? Uncle Stu, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, sir?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just working on my YouTube channel and whatnot. So just want to chime in real fast about a little bit about relationships and when you're over 30 and so forth. So what I mentioned earlier about Match.com works, it actually does. But the thing is, what I'm worried about with your YouTube presence is the question I asked earlier is how do you go filter out all the wannabe suitors?
It's difficult. And I thought about that because even a couple of people have reached out to me. A lot of people actually have reached out to me on like on the DM kind of thing. And it's like you don't know where to begin and if the person is actually genuine or a fan. You get what I'm saying? Like that is a very big difference. Some people are infatuated with the idea of you, and other people actually like you, the person, and want to get to know you, the person. So it's been difficult. I think I've tried where I feel, I don't know if that makes sense, spirit led, kind of check out your profile, see if you look normal, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
And see, is this person with somebody I would be interested in anyway? Just because you write does not mean that, you know, there's mutual attraction, not on just a physical basis. Just like, what do you do for a living? Where do you live? How many kids you have? Like just basic, you know how you have to do the little reconnaissance. You have to do like the basic info based on profile. But yeah, no, it's difficult. And like I said, I ran into a couple people that I thought was going to be good in terms of just even get to know you. And even if it didn't work out on a professional level, but it turned out that I'm like, I think this is more of like, they like the idea of me. So that's going to be a challenge, especially. That's why I don't really like the idea of going online, which is ironic because you're like, that works. Because I feel like the profile that I'm developing even now, it makes me a target. It doesn't make me, I don't know. I'd hate to say it like that because it makes me, I don't know, vulnerable, even though I have to date because I have to be able to meet somebody. So I don't know. I haven't figured out all the ins and outs of that yet. To protect myself as well as be open.
I think that is a very accurate statement. God, you just gave me a whole video to write. Because it is. I mean, we have to see that as being real. Where people, one thing about live streaming, television, anytime you're in front of that camera, it is difficult because do they love me because of me, or do they love an image they put on me? Exactly. You know, is it really me? And again, that goes with people who making money. You know, do I have friends that's legitimate, or are they really here for me, or they here for the money?
Or girlfriends.
Girlfriend, right? You know, so it is very real, and yeah, you know, you got to say it that way.
Do you have a suggestion, Mixmaster? I'm sorry, Uncle Stu. Do you have a suggestion, Mixmaster, of how to weed past the not so good folks?
Well, see, I can go back to Match.com because what I did was, with my wife, was really filter out based on what they had, based on what you're writing profile and everything in there. So I use that as a filtering mechanism. But then also, what may help is if people may not know who you are, that have not seen you.
Should I catfish?
No.
No.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question.
I thought about that. Use a different picture, same kind of like info about me, and just use a different picture and see who I meet. I was thinking about that.
Now don't do that. Now, oh Lord, don't do that.
Yeah, so diversity.
Don't have TLA throw you out on the live talking about Suzanne Speaks is the catfishing, y'all. Oh Lord.
Okay, look at her profile, y'all. You see this right?
They call you catfish you.
I know. I wouldn't want anybody catfish me. I wouldn't want anybody catfish me. That's true. That's true.
Do you have? Is your father still living? You got brothers?
Yes, my dad's around. Yeah, my brother's here.
That's going to be your best people
to hook me up.
No.
To vet. Yes, absolutely.
Because one thing I say is that if a man can't meet a real man, because your father is a man, then there's no thing. I'll tell any man, I was vetted big time.
Men know men. Men,
that's right.
No men. Women, no women.
Exactly.
Men, no men.
Exactly. So if you got your dad, you got your uncles, bingo. That's your.
But it's to find him first, Uncle Stool. I'm telling you, it's finding him first.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you. I mean, yeah, online works, but then again, getting into social areas work. You know, I don't always say church. I know every Christian gonna fight me. Oh, you gotta fight him. But the reality is, black men left church,
and it's a lot of crocodiles in church.
Exactly. So
not everybody's good men there too, but it's a lot of predators. God forgive me, but
absolutely, yeah. We done had some online issues done happen already, you know. But I would say the first vetting process is allowed.
Oh, my brother gonna tell me. My brother already. He like, no.
Yeah, because we know.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, I told you I got real men behind me, and we really have the conversation. You know, I mean, I got one in mind, you know, but I gotta talk to him first. Yeah,
Uncle Stu, put me out there like that.
Uncle Stu is Uncle Stu now. I got some nephews need to get out of here. But no, in all seriousness, I think that's just a sign of the times that it ain't like when I was in my 20s and 30s. Everything is online now, and everything is literally a crapshoot. I hate to say it that way, but it is. And that's
you check what the chat is saying. Let me see what the
chat gonna keep it real, because that's how I met my wife online.
Oh,
okay. You too. Welcome to the club.
Yes, so I relax. I am relaxed. Yes. Yes, I hear you. Actions speak louder. I see you. Okay. Yes, I'm definitely gonna try to get out more. I've been COVID-y.
I was vetted.
Now I'm getting back out there.
I was vetted by a father, vetted by an uncle, vetted by her twin sister, vetted by her baby sister. Then I had to speak to the aunts. They went thoroughly through me. So, it was like, Lord, did I pass the test yet? I think I'm all right now, But I think that's like you said earlier, I guess that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, Miss Master, I appreciate the feedback. So you're saying if not match, where else did you say? Bars, church, and then where else?
Oh no, definitely don't try I'm not a bar.
Okay, not a bar. Okay.
Because like way kind of want to look at it is like, okay, if you're telling your story to like say your future kids, like, oh, I met your father.
But I've met people who would bet at a bar. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, especially coming from it because I'm first generation as well. But I was born here in the States, so I understand the way you progress as far as your education. It has to be first time education, and everything's supposed to magically fall in line, but no one ever really told you how it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
So I understand where you're coming from, but I just mentioned, like, say, library. If school was always good, was supposed to be the easy option and work, but then as you mentioned earlier, like your social circle becomes smaller, and you're not frequently being around people that you know as you get older. So that whole church referencing, that was a whole Coming to America reference that you talked back on PLA's channel about that.
Yeah.
But really, like, the good start is a meetup, like you mentioned earlier. That's a good start, and just doing whatever you can, like you did now, as far as joining YouTube, like doing things outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And finding where are the guys at? Where do they frequent? The guys that you're looking for. So I'm sure, I don't know if you have a full checklist of the type of guys you're looking for, but I guess you got to start asking the question, well, where do they frequent? What do they do from certain times of day? The gym is also a good option. If you remember the gym or any type of activity that you like to frequent, where are the single guys that you're interested in, where they hang out?
Well, you got me doing some homework. I think I know a couple of places, but I'm definitely open. Especially, I'm gonna ask, I guess my guy friends here more so than the ladies to ask where they think is the best place to meet people and get a good feel for them, a real first impression, and not just what are you doing? I'm from the yelling over the music. That's what we usually, Miami, that's usually how you mean, well, where you from? What you doing? Like, we're yelling at each other. But I hear you. Like, more traditional, if you will, spaces where people will go out and just do activities, I guess, is the kind of gist that you're making. So I will definitely, I've started again to just venture out. I had not been going out because of the pandemic, but I'm just now like, let me figure out. I know there are places, you know, I'm here in ATL and other places that they act like everything good. So they just go, they've been out. New York, I hear they've been out like other places. So, but I've been very cautious. So I think wherever outdoorsy I can meet people, I would go. I think I'm an outdoors still kind of socializer with everything going on. So I think I'll definitely do more homework in that regard.
Yeah. And very unlikely was trying to come up on the platform. He came in the back and then he disappeared. So I don't know if he was having a internet issue or what it could be. So I kind of dropped the stream one more time to see if it was a link issue. Then if I don't see him again, because he came in and then I can tell it was doing that struggling and then it disappeared.
Church again, says Danny. Okay.
And you're located in Florida, correct?
I am Miami.
Yes, yeah. We all have family in Miami here.
Which hence is the problem.
Yeah.
Miami's a unique place. Like I said, you either got like really cool dudes and people that you like, you telling them to pull their pants up and wear a belt.
Yeah, because
you have extremes here. You have extremes. You have, you know, like
and a lot of competition down there too. So
no, the beauty of folks who are I guess they were taught the game. Let me put it like that. The girls here who was taught the game, if you have any hesitations, they already ate your man up. So it's a very like, and they don't even want him. They just don't want you to have him. That's the mentality. It's kind of crazy. They like, if you leave your girl, I'm leaving you because I don't really want your problems. That's how they think. They will go get your man, but not really want your man. It's a very different. Not everybody. I'm talking about like the culture of that. You know, what should I say? Side chick, if you will. There's a culture of that though, and it's unfortunate because it's not. I don't think it's healthy for you or the man, but whatever. So yeah, but you have normal people here too, but they stay in their house. A lot of them don't go out. A lot of them do work also long hours. But I'm, like I said, I'm just now. There's a couple of events coming up. I'm going to I'm gonna wear my mask, and if I feel comfortable, I'll take it off. But I'm gonna wear my mask and just see what it is. But yeah, it's hard to say because people are so reckless sometimes. Like, I don't know. You have people that sound good, look good, you know, but then there's also just again, people are not always 100 when you're just meeting them. But you gotta meet them to figure that out, though. I hear you loud and clear. So yeah, we back out here, little by little. We're back out here. I'm trying to figure out how. And I did a whole show on my Patreon about this. Stop the isolation. So thank you for bringing it home.
Yeah, that's good.
You'll be caught up a whole nother year waiting on this thing to go away. So yeah, we gotta. I was talking more in terms of personal relationships as far as family and friends, but what you're saying is really true as well. The romantic side, if you will, has to be, you know, thought about, but again, safely, in my opinion. But
you're right. I mean, the numbers ain't going down yet. So
there's still people out here losing people. So you don't want to be. I'm not that. Oh, let me just go. Like if it's an outdoor event, probably I'll be there. But if it's indoor, it's like hit and miss. So yeah, we'll see. But I hear you getting out there.
All right. Yeah. Now I got to bring him up. So, don't worry, in ATLA. You know, this is very unlikely. And
very unlikely. Woo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you real good.
All right. I don't know what happened with my.
I can't see you.
I don't know what happened with my camera. I got a new camera. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Yeah, I just had to come up real quick and just say what's up. You always have good content, Suzette.
Thank you.
You know, I had a question about you know, overall with you like being out dating and things. Do you feel like you're at the right place? It's just about making sure all boxes check off, basically?
I think I would say 75% I feel I'm at the right place.
Yeah.
Mind, body, spirit. I think knowing myself and not being too open here.
Right.
There's about 25% of me that wants to get better or thinks I have to be is a strong, well, maybe have to be.
Right.
Or work on it in a way that would be pleasing to somebody else.
Right. Yeah. No,
so I think I'm almost there. I wouldn't say I'm 100% like who I want to be when I get married, but who's 100% who they want to be when they get married. Right. But I think I'm probably about 75% of who I want to be a gift to someone, but also to be where I am, just where I want to be, if you want to call it that, in every area of my life. I'm probably 75% where I want to be. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. I think back to, like meeting my wife and everything. And a lot of those narratives out there, especially with like your profession, which strikes me similar to hers, just some of the things you hear, it's just not true. And it's always out there. And some of it is true, but it's not 100%. So it's like you're always fighting some narrative that's just not true. And I don't know why we do that, why we just, we always fight to be different. And now when it comes to relationships, we lump everything into the same, like put us in a box, in a box. You attorney. I'm like, oh, you attorney? There's people that hung up the phone. Right. Yeah. Like, as soon as they hear my voicemail, they're like, you're an attorney? Like, they mad that I didn't say it right away. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, okay, bye. Yeah,
his camera. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got that 2-minute shut off. And I guess I just took it out of the box not too long ago. So
you know what it is? When you go back in, because I had to do that for my camera. There's probably a setting that you haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
And I had to do that because my setting, it was coming out to be hot.
Okay. I
had to fix it to keep it from being hot.
Right. Okay.
And that way I can use it as a stream. So you probably just got to look at the settings.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, there's probably just one setting, because like what I see on your camera, I can see where the camera is looking dead at your eyes.
Right. Yeah.
You got the box.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
I need to go to Uncle Stu's film school. Absolutely. So look, last thing, I'll just leave it how it is, but last thing I just want to add, what's interesting, like with my wife and I, and some of it might have been age, but something that she mentioned, which I never even thought of, we always talk about, women who have done well in their careers and stuff. And she actually went through this thing where I guess a lot of men actually were impressed. And it might be the caliber of who she was dating. And she actually thought it interesting of me that when I saw what she had accomplished, it didn't really mean anything to me. I mean, I appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm working on my own purpose. So it's just like you just bring it together and, and stuff like that. But I do think when you're in the vetting process, the biggest thing for us, we laid it all out on the table. I mean, everything. There was, the finances, your loans. Everything. There was nothing. And then it was very quickly on. I'm talking about within the first week, right? We knew like, okay, can we accept this and can we move forward? And personally for me, I knew a week or two in that I was going to marry her. I knew, as long as she wasn't crazy. I had to give it the time to find out if she wasn't crazy. But it's one of those things too. And for me at that time, at 32 years old, for any man at 32 years old and they don't know what they want, they haven't done the work. They haven't done the work. I remember being 20 years old, and because I didn't go straight to college, being upset because I felt like I'm not where other people are just because they went to college 2 years ago. So to be 32 and still haven't figured it out, there's work to be done, and that's a red flag for men and women. So, that's just something I wanted to add, but I just had to step up real quick and just keep on doing what you're doing. I hope you success with your channel. You too. Thank you, Perrin Likely. Real quick, what line of or what industry is your wife in? Pharmacy. Yes. Yeah, okay. And clinical pharmacy. So more so actually teaching it to people. So yeah. And you had said, and I just want to clarify with your story, you had said that other men were very impressed and you were not impressed. Yeah, and I don't want to say that I wasn't impressed, but just for me, because I knew where I was headed regardless, and it already had some success. Her being able to achieve, like on the flip side, when a man already has a home and has these nice things, I can see where a woman will be impressed with that. But even looking at it from your side, a man having a home for you is like, yeah, but I got my own, right? So I think it was more so a thing to them, maybe not being, where they should be and things like that. But that is something she said kind of drew her to me that was different, because they seem to maybe make a big deal out of it. But for me, it was like, hey, that's good. We're just going to add this together and push it to the max. It's like, either way, if we're together, you're going to have everything you need and want. And I am too. But if you got a little more when we enter, and I do, then it just sweetens the pot. It's just that it's that simple. So I just like to always crack the narrative that you can't have two high value people, if you will. Bring it together. Good. You can. And we have 2 kids. They have everything they need. It's just balance and trying to work. And we're still working through that. Yeah. But just this narrative that, you got to put on an apron, and it's just not the truth. Everybody's situation is different. So
absolutely. Well, thank you for that insight, Perry.
Absolutely, man. Y'all keep up what you're doing, and I'll holler at y'all later.
Thank you.
And just
thank
to
you
let
so
you know,
much.
Perry Unlikely is going to be one of my, him and his wife is going to be one of my guests on this platform. So that's one of my February family.
Wonderful. I will be tuned in.
I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to say he has a narrative that is going to shock a whole lot of people. So
I'm excited.
We're going to put that narrative, but I ain't going to tell everybody the narrative. I know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let us get it when he gets on. Nice. I can't wait for that.
When you hear the narrative, it's going to be like, what? Like, yep. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
have a good evening. All right. Take care.
You take care of yourself.
All right. Miss Master Miko, I'm going to pull you down because she already gave me an extra 30 minutes.
No problem.
And I needed to come back next month. Right. I ain't about to fall it.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Likewise.
All right. Appreciate you.
Bye now.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for gracing this platform. Just in case TLA see it in there, thanks TLA for not punking me on my own show.
Big up TLA, big up TLA.
Big up TLA. TLA will come in gangster, and he don't like me because I'm from New York, so he gonna definitely show me his gangster way. Be like.
Up north with down south boys. I love it.
I ain't mad at him.
Enjoyable, man.
I ain't mad at him. But if you got a second when I shut down the stream, just hang out for about 5 minutes in the back.
Sure, no problem.
All right. I'm gonna put you to the back, and then I'm gonna close.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me, Uncle Stu. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. All right, everyone. I want to thank each and every single one of you tonight for coming here, for hearing a great conversation. So remember, let's do this again in a couple of days. Look out for the streams that's going to be coming out. Look out for OG Patrice video coming out. And we just going to keep rocking and rolling. This is Uncle Stu, and I love y'all. This is Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. Like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. Emancipate your mind. Peace.